Hello everyone, this is the 21B Talent Management Advisory session hosted by Evosys. We'll be beginning this webinar in the next couple of minutes. We're just waiting for a few more people to join. Thank you. So hello everyone, and a very warm welcome to the second series of advisory sessions of 2021 here at Evosys. These sessions focus on delivering and updating you on the new features and functionalities in each of the Oracle quarterly releases. My name is Chris Gomez and I'm an account director here at Evosys. And I know that we have a number of new first-time attendees joining us today. It's great to have you join us, so welcome. And we hope you find these sessions as useful as many of our regular attendees who've joined us today too. So for those of you that have joined us again, welcome back. So today I'm your host for this session, and I'm joined by my colleague Rishabh Jain, who works in our HCM Centre of Excellence team. We'll be taking us through the talent management updates in 21B. Rishabh has 3 years of experience in working with Oracle solutions, and he's an expert in talent management and benefits. And he'll be taking us through the hot topics and everything you need to know about the main features of talent management in this release. And the session today is planned for 60 minutes, and we'll ensure that we leave time for questions, as always, at the end of this session. As before, we will also make an extended PowerPoint available to you, as well as the recording of this webinar today. Okay, so by means of an agenda, we want to cover 4 main areas with you today. So firstly, I'll take you through the feature summary templates that we use to actually detail the features that are coming into 21B. And we will then move on to the analysis of the latest release. So that's where Rishabh will provide you with insights into the new available features, as well as highlighting things to consider when deploying them. This will also cover known issues that need to be considered. And this will take Rishabh roughly 30 to 40 minutes to take us through that. After his session, we'll then recap on the 3 main technologies that we spoke about for those of you that attended the 21A sessions, before we then focus on today's topic, which will cover analytics. So Rishabh, at that point, will cover how the value-based analytics that we've developed help our customers that have deployed this, that may have challenges that you and your HR colleagues may face on a regular basis. And using the value-based analytics, we look to how we can help you overcome those challenges. And then we'll look to close the webinar with a Q&A session at the end. But please do ask any questions throughout the webinar in the chat option. and we'll look to answer those as part of that Q&A session at the end. Okay, so moving on to our approach to the Oracle update. The way we present information regarding each feature is summarized on the screen that you can see in front of you now. And I am conscious that many of you that have been to these advisory sessions may be familiar with this slide, but please use it as a reminder whilst I take the new guests that have joined us today through it. So each of the slides that we're going to present to you, or that Rishabh's going to present to you, includes the name of the feature with a short description. And that's used to better inform you and give you a bit of a brief on what the feature is for. We include a business benefit section to help you understand how advantageous it may be to your organization, with the outcomes it could give you as well. We then include a high-level impact analysis on the right-hand side here with 4 main areas. So firstly, you've got the impact level. It's ranged from low to high. A low means that no large-scale impact, so regression testing is not really required, or it can even be ignored. And obviously a high impact level would be the complete opposite. Does the feature need to be enabled, or will it just appear post-upgrade? How about configuration? Well, we also highlight that too as part of the feature summary. And clearly an update that needs configuration is going to need more planning time and potentially, considered how would it work with the existing configuration that you've actually got. And lastly, we also include a quick win gauge, which takes into account the level of effort and time required to get this set up. So handing over to Rishabh now. Rishabh, could you take us through what to expect from the talent management in 21B release, please?
Thanks, Chris, and welcome to everyone for this slide. And let me just go to our analysis for the 20B release. So in 21B, we have total of 18 features. We have divided these 18 features in quick win and rest. So by default, you will get 7 features which will be considered as quick wins, and there will be 1 feature for which you maybe need to do some impact analysis. There are 9 features. There are in total 10 features that you need to opt in. So we are going to see all these features one by one. So let's discuss the features which has quick wins and which are default with no configuration. So the first feature is to filter when mass printing performance documents. So as an HR administrator, when you go to mark action on performance document task, and when you go to process mass print performance document page, previous to 21B release, you only had these 2 options, review period and performance document. But after 21B release, you will have the additional filters of business unit, department, manager, employee, and assignment status. So by this, as an HR administrator, you can filter the required group of employees for which you want to mass print the performance document. The business benefit of this feature is that the HR specialist get more control and flexibility while performing this transaction. Moving to the next feature of 21B is that as an HR administrator, view all employee performance document in a review period. So before 21B, when an HR administrator tried to search an employee's performance document, there was a default filter of current. So in that case, only the current performance document was shown. So now in 21B upgrade, this default filter has been changed from current to all. So you can filter when an administrator goes to that screen to search the performance document for an employee, whether it is in current, completed, or cancelled performance document, HR administrator will be able to see all the performance document of that particular employee. Of course, you can change the filter to current, completed, or cancelled. The business benefit is that uh, it will help HR administrator to find performance document more easily with the new default set to all. Moving to the next feature, which is sort option while managing participant feedback for performance documents. So as an HR administrator, when you go to manage a participant feedback page, you will get these many sort options to sort the participant, for which you need to have the action. So you can sort the participant by these three categories: participant name, person who selected the participant, and feedback status. The feedback status sort option will be displayed to the worker when worker can track participant feedback status is enabled in the process flow, and for the metrics managers when the manager can track participant option is enabled, and of course for the HR specialist. The business benefit of this feature is that it improves the user experience with additional sort options. So let's say that as a HR administrator, you want to just sort the, you want to have the performance, you want to search the participants which has submitted uh, the feedback. So you can just sort uh, by the feedback status and just say A to Z, and then you will find that in the S section, you will find all the performance document, all the participants who have submitted their feedback. Moving to the next feature, which is provide reasons for HR specialist administration actions. So in 21B upgrade, there will be a feature which gives a functionality to capture the reasons why HR specialists are performing any administrative actions on performance document. So as we already know that as an HR administrator, we perform a lot of transitions like creating a performance document or canceling it or deleting it or reopening it or performing any mass action. So previously we were not getting any option to select what is the action reason why we are performing this transaction. But after 21B upgrade, we will be getting that option to select what is the action reason of performing this transaction. By default, you will have three action reasons. So these are the three action reasons that you will get by default: task owner request, administrator error, and the third one is other administrative reasons. So these are the three that you will get by default, but you can create by your own reasons as well, your own action reasons. The business benefit of this feature is that it provides the feature to track and report administrative actions on performance document. So maybe in reports in OTBI analytics, you can fetch that okay, for this particular action was performed because of this action reason. So it helps there as well. Moving to the next feature, which is HDL or HSDL and HCM extract support for external succession candidates. So in 21B, there is a business object that has been introduced to upload external candidate data. We can do it via HDL, which is HCM data loader, or HSDL, which is HCM spreadsheet data loader. So by putting three information: external candidate ID, email address, and the last name, we can load the details of the external candidate into the HCM system. Previously, this functionality was not available, and we had to go and manually add the external succession candidates into the system. So the business benefit of this feature is that it reduces the manual work, which can be easily done by HDL or HSDL. Moving to the next functionality, which is improvements to the LinkedIn profile import. So in profile management, when we import data from LinkedIn, after 21B, you can select the specific content that you want to import from LinkedIn. So let's say you want to import only skills and qualifications. Then you will get a checkbox to set that, okay, I want to import these two sections only. And also based on the security, as an HR administrator, if I have security limitation, then I will be able to import based on the security metrics. I will be able to import certain content section only. So this is a new functionality which has been introduced. So LinkedIn profile import improvements that are intuitive and less error prone to bring in LinkedIn profile items. So the business benefit is that it offers the functionality to choose required data from LinkedIn which needs to be imported. And we can skip the other data which we don't want. The next functionality is to force load and synchronize external course data. So in 21B, there is a new schedule process that has been introduced with the name load and synchronize external course data. What it does basically, it synchronizes the courses from the content provider and in the Oracle Learning Cloud. Okay. So basically, once we run this process, then it will synchronize the courses in the content provider and will load it into the system, into the Oracle Learning Cloud. And once it has been completed, once it has been loaded in Oracle Learning Cloud, it can be imported to use. So the business benefit of this feature is that it synchronizes the available courses in external content provider in Oracle Learning Cloud. So basically, we can schedule this process on daily basis so that if there is a new course that has been added by content provider, it will be synced in Oracle Learning Cloud. And by importing that course, we can make it available to use. Moving next, it is again a functionality of Oracle Learning Cloud. The feature is that clone specific catalog resources on production to test. So previous to 21B update, whenever we had P2T, production to test, then all the courses or all the content has been uh, done P2T. There was no restriction. We could not put any restriction that, okay, for this particular content, we don't want to have P2T. But in 21B, you will get this option, environment refresh, where you have two options, enable for refresh, disable for refresh. So let's say for a particular content, you have selected the environment refresh as enabled for refresh. Then when the P2T happens, then it will be posted to test environment. But if it has been disabled for refresh, then it won't be transferred to the test environment. So this is a functionality which can be used in let's say in the example where you don't want all the content to be transferred to test environment, maybe because you want to have the blank test environment. You don't want to have any content on test environment. So in those cases, this is a very good functionality which can be used. Moving next, now let's see the features with quick wins and which requires some configurations. So the first feature in this category is that control metrics manager participant selection for performance document. So basically this feature give HR specialist to configure a performance template so that they can perform the following actions. For example, they can prevent by configuring the performance template in such a way so that they can prevent employees and managers from assigning participant a role incorrectly. The second action that HR specialist can perform is to control which participants have access to employee and managers ratings and comments and which participant can only provide the feedback. So it can be controlled by the HR specialist that certain participants can provide feedback only and certain participants can provide manager ratings and comments. The third action that HR specialist can perform is to auto-populate specific metrics manager of a certain manager type. So let's say HR specialist can configure the performance template in such a way that let's say project manager metrics, project manager type of managers will be considered as participant. So that can also be possible after 21B. And the last action is the prevent metrics manager that aren't required from being included in an employee's performance review. So these are the options. So if as an HR specialist, if you mark this option 3 to auto-populate metrics manager of the workers as participant and you select a particular manager type, then that particular manager type will be considered as a participant for that worker. So the business benefit of this feature is that it controls the participation of metrics manager on the performance document. So in this case, after let's say we have configured in such a way that it will auto-populate, then as an HRIS specialist, you don't need to go every time and assign the participant for the worker. It will be auto-populated. Moving next, that the feature is to define expiration policies for performance goal approvals. So this feature helps in ensuring the approvals are complete within a specific time frame. So after 21B, for performance goal approval transaction, you can set a specific time frame after which the transaction will be either expired or escalated or renewed. So here if you see, if you go and set the expiration setting and select the duration. So here in the screenshot, it has been selected that after 7 days, it will expire. So what it does, once let's say the transaction has been initiated today and there was no action taken and it has not been concluded in 7 days. So after 7 days, the transaction will get expired. So after that transaction get expired or the duration has passed, the goal plan will no longer be logged and the user who has submitted the goal plan can change or review the goal plan or can update it or can also resubmit the goal plan. So previously, the goal plan was logged for indefinite time, and you need to go and terminate that transaction to make uh, to unlock that goal plan for the employee. But now, by setting this expiration setting, you can control that. So that's an excellent feature which has been introduced in 21B. Similar to the performance goals, you can also set the same for development goals as well. Similarly, in the same way, you can set the duration after which this particular transaction of approval of development goals will get expired and just put the duration and it will get expired and the user who has submitted a transaction will be able to access or resubmit or update the development goal once it has been expired. Moving next, so now we have concluded with the new features of quick wins default with configuration. So Chris, maybe we can launch our poll question now.
Certainly. Certainly. So what we'd like to do is we'd like all of our attendees today to just answer the following question that you'll hopefully see on your screen now. So it's do you use the performance ratings in performance management module into workforce compensation to calculate the salary hike and bonuses? So if you could select one of the 4 options that you've got, which is yes, or we've not implemented workforce compensation module, or implemented workforce compensation but not integrated, or you weren't aware about this feature. So we just thank you very much for everyone who's voting. We can see that a large proportion of you have kindly voted on that. I'm just going to keep the poll open for just another 15 seconds just to give the rest of you a chance to vote if you so wish to. I'm just about to close the poll now. So thank you everyone who voted. I'm just going to share the results to you now. So Rishan, we can see that 45% of our guests today have not implemented the workforce compensation module. So is there anything you want to say about that?
Okay, so basically, it's a very good functionality that if we integrate the performance ratings or the performance management module with workforce compensation management module. So basically, so let me just brief you about the compensation module that we can manage the complete workforce and give them the compensation, salary hikes, bonus, or stocks. So basically, we can integrate the performance module. So basically, we can fetch the performance ratings which has been given by the managers in performance management module and can fetch it in the compensation module. And based on that ratings, we can give the salary increases or bonuses or stocks and etc. etc. So it's a very good functionality. So maybe if you want to get to know more about it, then maybe you can reach out to your support or implementation team and get to know more about it. So thanks very much for participating in the poll.
Thanks, Rishabh. Can I just take this as an opportunity now, Rishabh? There's just a couple of questions that I think it would be worthwhile actually answering now, if we may, just before we let you continue.
Yeah, sure.
So Rishabh, one of the questions that we've got here from one of our guests is for they weren't aware of the Oracle Cloud Learning within HCM. Is this an add-on or that has to be paid extra for?
So Oracle Learning Cloud is a separate module. So Oracle provides in workforce management category only. So yeah, you should be able to have the access of Oracle Learning Cloud as well, if you have opted in for the complete suite of workforce management.
Okay, and I think there was just a bit of clarity on that. I may have answered on that. So if we turn on the compensation integration, can we override them before they get saved? Okay, there's another question here. For expired goals that have not been actioned, do the users lose their changes, or do the changes and the user only need to resubmit to restart the approval process again?
Can you repeat this? I'm sorry.
Yeah, so for expired goals that have not been actioned, do the users lose their changes, or do the changes need to be resubmitted to restart the approval process again?
Okay, so once the particular transaction has expired, then the user will be able to update it or resubmit it. So maybe it will get expired and the user needs to resubmit it for completion of the transaction. So it's mandatory. So basically we are specifying a time frame for a particular transaction, that in this time frame only this transaction should get completed or approved or rejected. After that it will get expired, or based on we have other options as well. So for example, we can renew it. So it will re-trigger the notification to the assignee that you have a pending transaction that needs your attention, like that.
Excellent. Okay, Rishabh, thank you very much for that. Can I let you carry on with just taking us
Thanks,
through?
Chris. So moving on to the new features which requires opt-ins. So the first one is bypass approvals for specific development goal conditions. So as an administrator in transaction console, you can now selectively bypass approvals for some development goal transactions. So here, if you see in the transaction manager rules, so previously there was only this process, approve development goals, and we can bypass it or we can set the approval rule. But after 21B, you will be able to see some sub-processes for which you can set whether you want to bypass it or you want to have the approval rule. So let's say you can set the bypassing approvals for these four: add shared colleague goal, add shared manager goal, goal share plan, goal share action, or manage private goals. So let's say that if an employee creates a private goal and you don't want to have any approval, So what you can do, you can just go here and you can just set the subprocess bypassed. So basically what it will do, it will modify the actual approval rule and it will bypass the approval. So basically it gives more flexibility to HRs to set the configuration by themselves. So right now you can just, for the sub processes for these four, you can just say whether you want bypassing, you want to have bypassing approval or you want to have approval rule. If you don't want to, if you want to have an approval rule, you can just deselect it and you can set the approval rule in the approved development goal process. Moving to the next feature, which is additional metrics management support in talent review. So in talent review, managers can filter the employees listed to their direct and indirect reports, dotted line reports, or all reports while preparing review content. So if I go here and just show you this, so in prepare review content page, you can sort or you can display all reports of yours, dotted line reports, or direct or indirect reports. So that is how you can just display the employees which you want to see. The next one is that managers can grant access to metrics managers of employees who report to them so that the metrics managers can also review and rate the employees. So here, if you see in the grant access page, as a manager, you can set the reviewer and you can add the metrics manager here so that metrics manager can also participate in talent review. And the third one is that when facilitator conducts the meeting, the facilitator can filter the review population by their reporting relationship. So here in filter section, now as a you have selected the manager name, now you can select the reporting relationship as well. So for example, if I have selected manager as Chauhan Ravi and I have selected reporting relationship of line manager, then all the employees who are directly reporting to Chauhan Ravi will be visible here in the talent review meeting dashboard. So yeah, it gives more flexibility to metrics management support in talent review, which was not earlier in before 21B release. The next one is the similar to the performance, similar to the development goal, we have sub processes for performance goal approval as well. So as you can see here, we have these sub processes for bypassing approval. That, for example, if an employer want to add shared colleague goal, then whether you want to bypass it or you want to have an approval. So similarly, for adding shared manager goal, for adding shared organization goal, for goal share action, or for managed organization goal, or for managing private goals. So for all these actions, you can set whether you want to have approval or whether you want to have bypass or whether you want to bypassing the approval. So this is a very good functionality which gives more flexibility to HRs to reduce the. So for example, adding private goal is something which should not require any approval. So we can just bypass it. So it will save some transactions. Moving to the next one, which is talent review dashboard display option configuration. So as an HR administrator, while configuring the talent review dashboard, now you can have colors and shapes which you can enable. So basically, for example, for analytics options like risk of loss. So let's say you have enabled the risk of loss analytic option. So in risk of loss analytic option, you can set that, okay, for if the analytic value is low, then this will be the color to display. If it is medium, then the color will be different. If it is high, the color will be red. So that the dashboard will, so by looking at the dashboard, you will get the complete analysis out of it. You can also add the shapes. So if you see here in the screenshot of impact of loss analytic option, you can have the shape like circle, triangle pointing up, triangle pointing down, likewise you can have more. So you will have different drop-down values. So the business benefit of this feature is that it improves user experience on the talent review dashboard, and users will be able to get the analysis by just looking at the dashboard. Moving to the next, it is that access to self-service pages. So again, it is related to Oracle Learning Cloud. So after 21B, if this profile option WLF Learn Self-Service Responsive enabled, if this profile option is not enabled, then all the self-service transactions which we have in Oracle Learning Cloud will not be accessible, and you will be getting this error that this page isn't available because the responsive profile option must be enabled to access it. So it is mandatory that after the 21B update, this profile option should be enabled. So maybe you can check with your implementation or support team that whether this has been enabled or not. So the benefit is to enable the responsive UI and streamlining the processes. Moving to the next one, which is enhanced user capability for requesting feedback on multiple goals. So as an employee, what I can do, like after 21B update, as an employee, I can select multiple goals and I can click on actions, and then I will be able to see an option to request feedback. So here, if I zoom in, you can see uh, there are two goals. Let's say I have selected both of the goals. When I click on the actions, I will be seeing this functionality to request feedback, and I can select the name of the person from which I want to whom I want to request the feedback. Similarly, managers can also do the same, and they can also request feedback for a person who reports to them. So again, this is a screen for a manager. So if you see here, again they can select multiple goals and can click on action and can request feedback. So this is a very good functionality which saves a lot of time, and like we don't need to go one by one and requesting feedback. So for having this functionality, you need to enable this request feedback action via HCM Design Studio. Moving to the next, so let me go to the agenda, and here over to you, Chris. You can discuss more about leveraging innovative technologies.
Thanks very much, Rishabh. That was quite a few interesting features that you've discussed there. I'm just thinking actually, Rishabh, rather than going straight into the leveraging technology, and I know that we've got the Q&A session at the end, but a lot of the questions that are coming in at the moment are specific to your section, Rishabh. So are you okay if I just fire a couple more questions at you before I just jump into leveraging technology?
Yeah, sure, no problem.
Okay, so one of the points that was made was that would it not make more sense to have private goals automatically bypassed? If it goes for approval, then it's no longer private. What's your thoughts on that?
So previously, so there was a functionality, like there was not, so basically for managing the private goals, we could configure the approvals, right? But now if we can just bypass it and just say that, okay, for this particular thing, there will be no approval at all. So similarly, there are other options as well. For example, manage shared colleague goal, right? So in that case, you want to you just have this functionality to bypass it. So it's not like you will not be like you want to have the configuration, or you must have to be there. There must be a configuration for it. So it's up to you whether you want to bypass it, or if you don't bypass it and there is no configuration at the main process, then there will be no approval for that particular task.
Thanks for that, Rishabh. Just another question then. So do matrix managers have to be set up by HR before the manager can activate this feature?
For which feature we are talking about? Has it been specified?
Multiple goals feedback requests will be helpful. So do matrix managers have to be set up by HR before the manager can activate this feature?
So maybe you are talking, maybe it is related to, so basically maybe this is related to the additional metric support. So basically if there is there was a function feature that metrics manager can auto populate, right? So if an employee has metrics, we have enabled that feature, and an employee has metrics manager, then for that particular employee, that metrics manager will appear as participant. But if there is a no metrics manager for an employee, then it won't. So it's like it's a prerequisite. If you want to use that functionality, then it's a prerequisite that employee should have the metrics manager. If you want to have the metrics manager as a participant for that employee.
Excellent, thank you. Just another point here. Request feedback. Will that replace participants' feedback on the review document if feedback can be given on objectives?
No, it is for goals only. So for your goals, you can request feedback to your colleagues, to your managers, not for the talent review.
Okay, thank you. And finally, can matrix management functionality be applied across other areas, e.g. absence approvals?
For absence approvals?
As an example, yes.
Yeah, we can have the metrics manager for, like, while configuring the approvals of any transaction, we can have this like manager, we can select the manager type and we can select the metrics manager. So yeah, we can use it. So it's not a new functionality. It is there right now as well.
Good stuff. Thanks, Rishabh. Okay, please do continue to ask questions that you may have. I'm going to now move us into the next part of the webinar, which is around leveraging innovative technologies. So for those of you that joined us on the 21A release, I'm just going to use this now as a recap on what we discussed in that last webinar, and just to cover how other technologies that are available can help with not only facilitating the release cycle, but also how it can drive further success in your Oracle Cloud applications, and in this instance from an HCM talent perspective. So we talked about how Evosys has leveraged the latest technologies and created a series of packages across 3 distinct areas. So robotic process automation, or RPA, analytics, and chatbot. So with RPA, we spoke about how we can help other customers automate the regression testing that's carried out for each quarterly cycle, for example, to save time and provide focus on where it's required. And we also looked at how we could save time with automating business processes too. From an analytics perspective, we spoke a little bit about our value-based analytics that can be overlaid on any existing analytics that you have in place, and provides key information around 4 key areas. And those 4 areas are process optimization, and that's how we help to identify processes that can be optimized or even automated. System adoption, that's where we can help to identify areas and reasons for low adoption rates, and in turn provide recommendations on changes to improve these. Then we looked at information output, which looks at the requirements that our customers or you and your teams need from a system perspective to provide a greater visibility of data and trends. And then finally, audit and compliance, that looks at regulations and segregation of duties, as well as ensuring compliance with internal SLAs that may be in place, for example. And then finally, chatbots or digital assistants, and how they can be used to improve the overall user experience, or if you're looking at point number 2 in the analytics, around how we can improve system adoption with the use of chatbots. So for today, and as a result of the poll that we had in the 21A advisory session, we're going to cover analytics and specifically our VBA solution in a little bit more detail. I'd already covered RPA in 21A, and we're going to look at chatbots in 21C. And for those of you that didn't attend the 21A webinar, and actually you're interested in some of what we had to say around RPA, there is the option of actually revisiting the 21A webinar, or please do reach out to us using the contact details that we provide at the end to discuss in a bit more detail about how RPA can be used in your organization. So, Rishabh, can you take us through a little bit more about how value-based analytics helps our customers in driving greater efficiencies?
Yes, sure. So there was a problem statement that organization buys new system with a business benefit in mind, but fail to measure it once the system is used. And they are more focused in day-to-day business, HR business processes. And then they don't focus on the ROI, which they had planned before the implementation. So the solution which we have proposed is VBA, which is value-based analytics. So it is a tool which is developed with the focus to measure and monitor ROI for which the system transformation was invested in. So basically, we have pre-built analysis around 340 plus, and there are pre-built KPIs, which is around 140. So basically, in these VBA tools, it will be comprising, it will be helpful to meet your KPIs. So KPIs categories are process optimization, like how your processes are doing, maybe system adoption, whether your employees are going in the system and actually using the system or not. For the information output, you can get specific or insightful information that you may use for reporting. You can get it from VBA, and for audit and compliances. So yeah, it's a very good tool which can help you to measure your KPIs and will be helpful to monitor the ROI which you have already planned. So I will move you, like there's a small clip. So basically we have VBA for key areas. So we have developed VBA for all the major modules like core HR, payroll, talent management, recruiting cloud, benefits, time and labor, and for security. In today's session, we will be seeing the VBA which has been created for talent management to track the KPIs. So this is the look and feel of a KPI dashboard. Here you can see there are various modules. So if you want to get the details of human capital management, here you can see the finance, supply chain. So we will be focusing on human capital management. Let me just play it. So here you can just see the KPIs. So when you click on the KPI, you will be navigated to the prompts page where you can set for which year you want to get the analytics. What is the expectation? What is the target? So maybe you can set it here. So for example, you are expecting that you should have 50% of your employees as high performers. So you can set it here, and then by setting it, I'm talking about talent IT right now. So sorry. Similarly, we can do it for other modules as well. But here, let's say you have said that, okay, 50% of employees should be high performers and 10% of employees should be low performers. Now, after selecting the prompt, you can measure like how the business is meeting your expectation. So let's say you have selected the year, the data prompts, then go to the talent, then you will be able to see the KPIs here, the different analytics. So you see here that it will show you, for example, number of task overdues. So based on the prompt that you have selected, it is showing that, okay, you are in great condition. If you see the task bypassed, it is great. Similarly, if you go to high performers, number of high performers in your organization, so the status is showing at risk because you have selected 50% and it is only 0.57%. So basically, this VBA tool will give you the idea that these are the focused area at which you need to look upon. Similarly, you can see the low performers, it is in great condition. But here you see there should be in an organization the gap between high performance and low performance should be as low as possible. So here maybe organization can take as a next action plan which they need to work upon, and maybe they want to train their employees or they want to retain their high performers. So moving forward, so by clicking on the percentage, you can go into the details and check. Again, you can select the prompts. I just quickly go through. So here you can get another analytics. So for example, how are things going? So you can check here that the number of performance document in different status. For example, not started 0, in progress 215, 4 completed. It will show you the things which needs your attention. So maybe the transfers, how many the performance document transfer that you are doing. So maybe if the count is high, then you need to check why this is happening. You can also have different views. So for example, right now you will be seeing performance document status by business units. So here you will see different business units, and these are the performance document status. If you want to go in detail, you can just go to employee details, and there you will get insight or the actual details of those employees who are in this particular business unit, and they have different performance document status. So this is how you can get the analysis, complete analysis in one go from one page. Similarly, we have goals dashboard as well. So here again, you will select the prompts, you will go to summary, you will be able to see that, for example, number of employees having goals. So it is showing that there are very less employees without the goals. So that means that, okay, in this particular area, business has performed good. Similarly, you can have other information as well. So you can view by location or country or person type, and you can see the different counts. Again, if you want to go in details, you can click on employee details and can view all the details. So this was about the Learn VBA dashboards that we had, VBA analysis that we had. Now let's talk about the Learn VBA dashboard. The Learn VBA dashboard looks like this. So there are graphs, there are numbers, which you can see here. So it is showing that there are 724 learning hours that has been completed by your employees. What is the number of overdue learning items? What is the number of withdrawals? What are the number of learning items taken? It will give you complete analysis of your business and how the business is performing. So here, if I just move it forward, so here again, you can see that you can track which business unit or which department is performing good in terms of learning. And maybe you can see that, okay, a particular department is not performing well, or the employees of that particular department is not working, not going for Oracle Learning Cloud and learning that, or enrolling for the courses. Then business can look into it and can work on it. Again, you can go to the employee details and can check the complete details of that particular analytics. There are different views by which you can select and get the analysis updated. So yeah, this was about the VBA tool that we had. Now moving to the closing part. Over to you, Chris.
Thanks very much, Rishabh. Hopefully you found that useful, and if it's something that you'd like to explore further, please do contact us either via your project manager or account manager that you may have, or using the details that I'll provide on the final slide at the end of this session. Obviously, we'd love to work with you to identify how you can benefit from analytics and our VBA solution. So we'd absolutely love to hear from you. just in terms of closing now, obviously I'm conscious that we have answered a series of questions throughout the webinar. Just going to go and have a look at the questions now to see if we've got any others that that are left to answer. So another question for you, Rishabh. In Learn, will it just show who would break down the enrollment? Just bear with me 1 second, Rishabh.
Sure. Okay, so as part of this webinar, we can't show it, but like just to answer your question, an employee can go in the Oracle Learning Cloud, and then by employee self-service, they can enroll themselves into the different courses which we have configured as part of implementation of Oracle Learning Cloud. Okay, maybe I just missed the question. It is related to VBA, right? It was related to VBA.
Yes,
So
and yeah, yes, it was. Yeah.
Yeah, so just repeating the question, that in Learn, will it just show who are breakdown the enrollment status? So answering to this question, there are other analytics as well, which can be explored, but because of the lack of the time, we just speed it up and we just showed you the main thing. But there are various things as well which you can track with VBA analytics.
Okay, and we have another question. Just to confirm, this is standard functionality across Oracle. The VBA solution itself is an Evosys solution that we've actually developed using Oracle technology that sits within Oracle. Obviously, we'd need to provide you with the VBA solution, so you'd need to contact us to learn more about how much it would cost your organisation to actually run that. Just a few other questions, Rishabh, bear with me. I think we've answered, there's just a few other comments. I think we've answered any remaining questions. If there are any further questions that we've not answered, please do let us, please do just resend the question if that's okay. But what I'll do is I'll give, we've still got a couple of minutes. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move to the closing slide now to give our guests an opportunity to ask any sort of final questions that they may have, and I'll then come back to the questions if there are any. So in terms of what happens next, the presentation and the screen recording, as I said earlier, is going to be made available to all the participants that joined us today. Thanks once again for joining us. In addition to that, we provide a feedback form. These sessions are for you, so we'll absolutely welcome feedback from yourselves, good or bad. How can we improve these sessions? We want to make sure that you get the most out of these sessions. So please do fill in that feedback form. Please do speak to your project manager or email us at business@evosysglobal.com if you want to follow up with us for any additional services around the quarterly updates. We've spoken about the impact analysis. If you're looking for an impact analysis specific to your configuration, we'll be happy to talk to you about how we can help you with that. Or if you want to learn a bit more about innovations, specifically the VBA solution that we took you through today, or even the RPA piece that we covered in the previous webinar. We're going to be covering chatbots and digital assistants in 21C, but if there is any specifics that you want to learn up front, please do contact us. And then on the right-hand side of the slide that's in front of you now, you'll see that this was actually the third session of our 7 in the series. So firstly, we had the finance session on the 20th of April on Monday. That's now on Tuesday. That's now available to actually be looked at again. So the recording is available. We had the HR session yesterday, and then obviously today talent management. But coming up next, we're going to have benefits and compensation tomorrow, followed by supply chain management, HR help desk, and ORC on the 27th, and finally workforce management and global payroll on the 28th. So please do register for any more of those sessions that you'll find or you may find useful, or if there are colleagues of yours that may be interested in those sessions, please do let them know so they can go ahead and register. I'm just going to have another quick look, Rishab, at to see if there's any follow-up questions. I don't think there are. So thank you very much for everyone that's joined us today. I hope you found that useful, and please do, as I said, visit our website and register yourselves for some of those other advisory sessions. And if it's only talent that you're interested in, we really hope that you join us again for the 21C talent session that will be later on this year. Thank you very much, and I wish you a good rest of the day.